Welcome, everybody, to our live event today. I am so excited about it because this is family. Like you hear me talk about it all the time on the radio. You hear our relationship. We've worked together, we're friends, and I believe in this company. I'm talking about TaxBiz USA. Now, listen, it is tax season. And when I tell you we're in the season of knowing, of wanting to know all of the different things we have to know with regards to tax breaks, with regards to how we file our taxes in this season. Well, Beth McNeil, Xavier McNeil, they both have the answers that we need in this season. So, welcome to our live event. Beth McNeil is the founder and CEO of TaxBiz USA. Hello there, sister.
Hello, Miss Cheryl. Sis, how are you? Thank you
I'm
for having
doing
us
great.
here.
I've been really excited about this conversation, and I want to call him my nephew, but I'm going for the sake of us being on this
Please do,
live
please
today
do,
and
please
being
do.
more professional. Mr. Xavier McNeil is
Thank you
a
for having me.
former IRS auditor and director of marketing. Hi, Xavier.
Hello, Miss Cheryl. It's good, or Auntie Cheryl. It's good to see you. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. The city calls me Auntie Cheryl, so that's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. And so I'm really, really excited about this conversation because it's no secret. TaxBiz USA has helped my family, continues to help me. When I tell you, I am so discombobulated when it comes to business taxes and finances, and I can rest assured that TaxBiz got my back because they are on me. Like, Cheryl, get your life together, right? And
Man.
so I'm really excited about that. And all of the information that they've shared with me and my family, I want to make sure you know. I get it all the time, Beth. Listeners ask me all the time, do you really use TaxBiz USA? Like they'll
Wow.
call me, the Praise Power Mix is sponsored by TaxBiz USA. And they always, they'll call me and say, is that really your tax? I mean, do you really? And, I'm not endorsing anything that I don't support or
Amen.
use.
Right.
And for years, I've supported and used TaxBiz USA. So I am excited about this conversation. If you're watching via Facebook, if you're watching via YouTube, if you're watching on praisedc.com, I want you to like and share this post, right? Like and share. Tell everybody about this conversation. Like and share. Tell everybody that we are on today and that if you have comments, if you have questions, we want to be able to answer them. And we don't have long. We've got 30 minutes to converse about what's happening in this season. So don't hesitate. Let us know you're there and then like and share, tell everybody about the conversation. All right, we're going to jump right in, Beth. Tax seasons can be overwhelming. We know that.
Mm.
We were just
Yes,
talking about
indeed.
it. A
Yes.
little overwhelming for me. I need to sit myself down so I can make sure I get my stuff in. But what are the
Right.
most common mistakes people make when filing their personal taxes, and how can they avoid those mistakes?
Whew. I mean, Cheryl, that is a lot. This is a loaded question, okay?
Yeah.
And yes, tax season can be overwhelming, of course. I mean, this is why people who often rush make costly mistakes. So one of the biggest error is rushing through the process, which leads to missed deduction and overlook credit.
Mhm.
Again, sometimes they
So good.
forget to add income that they had from maybe a side job like Uber or DoorDash,
Mhm.
and those, and even cryptocurrency. Now, this is such a big thing now, and people are trying to get into it. But if you buy and sell or even convert those coin, it does can add income, and therefore it needs to be reported with the IRS. And if you don't, that can trigger an IRS notices.
Mm.
Hmm.
That's the truth. So if we don't know what we're doing and we just putting stuff in there, IRS is looking to trigger us. I'm going to deviate a little bit. Does it make a difference, Beth, now that they're talking about downsizing the IRS, or what does that mean for us to jump right? I mean, to make sure we have what we have,
And
correct.
again, as you know, 4 years ago, right? When the now current president was the president. He always talked about either get rid of or downsizing the IRS. But eventually, it doesn't matter whether the IRS no longer exists. There's got to be some way to collect taxes, right?
Yeah.
Either it's the IRS or they put it on the business to collect it. It's still, you need to pay your taxes. So we get a lot of clients that stop, either say, well, I'm going to wait to see whether
Oh,
to shut down the IRS, and it's probably not gonna happen. Okay,
no.
he tried it, prior 4 years to trying to, downsize, and it's not gonna happen because
Mm-hmm.
the government needs the IRS. That's the collection agency for them.
Mm-hmm.
Without the IRS, all the benefit that we are getting, all the stuff when COVID happened, the stimulus that we got was because of the IRS collecting agency.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so we do need the IRS. Now, only thing is, of course, it could be some changes made. We understand that. But at the end of the day, IRS is going to be in existence, whether it may not be called IRS, but they're going to find a way to collect taxes, period.
Right.
Right. And I kind of feel like this is the time when we really need to have our stuff in order so
Correct.
that you can be able to prove, you know what I mean, before they start really downsizing and things, you'll be able to prove this is what's going on so that if red flags are there for them trying to audit you and do some things, that you'll have your stuff in order.
And
So this is not the time. In other words, I asked that question because this is not the time to play with your taxes. Like this is
Not at
exactly.
not
all.
the
And
time.
also understanding that, even though the law changed for 2025, your 2024 taxes are still not going to be impacted by the new changes, right? So you're
Gotcha.
still going to be subject to the old, law if in turn they downsize or get rid of the IRS, which I
Which
surely
they're
doubt.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's no heaven. So yeah.
It's so
But
crazy.
yeah, and this is why it is so important to find a reputable company, Cheryl. And I'm not
Yes.
just saying that, we are a company as well. But even if it's not us, find someone that is reputable to get the right information, because social media had made a huge impact of misinformation,
Wow.
Yep.
and which caused taxpayers to now get audited because they're here that say, well, they told me I can hire my 3-year-old to work for me.
Mhm.
And that is
Mhm.
not facts. They got to be able to do the work that you're hiring them to do. Just putting your kids on payroll is not true. So they don't have the full information. All
Yeah.
they know is, oh, they say I can put my kids on payroll and your child is 3 years old. What is your child going to do for you and your
At a lumber
business?
mill.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
So
yeah, I posed that question
misinformation
because
is a whole lot.
now more than any time, it's a great time to have a professional do what you need to get done to make sure your taxes are filed correctly, to make sure you have a system in place, to make sure that things are done and you don't have to look over your shoulder like, did I do it correctly? You know, because if the agency is making mistakes, because Xavier, you work for the IRS,
Correct.
so you need to be able to prove what it is that you've done last year
Right.
and make sure that there are no mistakes, because when mistakes are made is when they're going to flag you. Mistakes are made is when they're going to try to run after your money, so you need to
Right.
make sure you've done it correctly. So that's
Right.
why I posed that question. So yeah, as a former IRS agent, you know what raises red flags. Like, what are some things that could trigger an audit, and how can people protect themselves from being audited?
So, Cheryl, as a former IRS agent, I've seen firsthand how red flags can affect people and how they're triggered. A few things that the IRS watches out for are unusually high deductions. For
Mm,
example, if your income is $60,000 and you're claiming $50,000 in deductions, that's going to cause some red flags to appear. People are going to start
mhm.
looking at you. If you're underreporting your income, the IRS gets copies of your W 2s and your 1099s and any other income statements you receive. So when you do your taxes, they already kind of have that information. They're just
Ah,
wanting you to let them know what part of that is untaxable. And so when you just don't report it at all, that's how you get hit with a flag. And then excessive business losses.
Mhm.
You are only allowed to lose 3 years in a row before it's a hobby. But on top of that, year after year after year losses, they start to ask, why are you in business if you're
Correct.
just going to lose money every year? There has to be
mhm.
something fishy going on there. That's going to cause a flag. And then for rental properties, depreciation, passive losses, and short term rental income get looked at very closely. Not
Mm,
separating your personal and business use property is also a common issue. Some people have properties that they say are for rental, but they're using them. They're letting their friends use them for
Yes.
free. Their beach houses and all the likes. And the IRS takes those type of things very seriously. And then finally, foreign accounts or transactions, offshore bank accounts, and international transactions require proper reporting.
Correct.
Failure to file the FBAR or the FACTA forms can trigger not just an audit, but huge penalties
And seizures. They
and
could, yes,
seizures.
they
Right,
can seize the asset.
right.
Correct.
And so, in order to protect yourself, so what can you do? Keep thorough records. That's your first line of defense. Receipts, mileage logs, contracts, bank statements, all of those things help to give a paper trail to tell the IRS that what you're saying is accurate. And then, secondly, filing accurately and on time. So, what you file should match your records, right? And then it should be timely because even if you're accurate, if you file late, then you get hit with penalties for failure to file on time. And nobody wants to be paying extra money, right? They're not giving you money for free. You don't
Correct.
want to be giving away your money for free.
Mhm.
And then be consistent. Large swings or unusual claims should be backed up with documentation. And that's a solid explanation because sometimes something big might happen in a year. Your roof might cave in. You might have, if you're in a farming industry, there might be like a famine or something.
Drought.
Your crops don't, grow, and then you might have huge losses in that year. But you should have the proper documentation. Just saying that it happened without any proof is going to end you up in some hot water. And then, like I said, end of all, be honest. There are some places where you might be able to get away with one thing or the next, or you might have a guy that says he can get you a big return. And don't trust those guys. You want to stick to somebody that can do it honestly, because there are a million ways to do something. You just want to make sure that you pick the right one.
Because that is a selling point, right? That tax companies use, that I can get you the biggest refund, but is the biggest refund, what you supposed to have? Like, are they fudging it a little just so that you can get a big refund? I want to make sure that we've done it correctly. All right, we did see a question from the audience. So let's go back to Mike White, who's on YouTube, and he's asking, what are the top 3 mistakes? Hey, Mike, top 3 mistakes pastors make while filing their taxes? Pastor Mike White.
Pastor Mike White. Yes, sir. There, you know what? And then we do get that a lot. Number one mistake is how they are being paid. We see that a lot, especially with small churches where they don't have an outside accountant, is someone inside doing their payroll. What I see a lot is that how they get paid. Pastors allowed what you call patronate expenses, or as far as for housing allowance, right? But sometimes we see that as part of income, and so one of the biggest thing is trying to separate them, because housing should be separate than your income on your W-2, because housing is not taxable, although you will be paying self-employment taxes on it, but you will not be is not subject to income tax. So it's important that those two get separated on your W-2. So number one. Number two is that they don't keep track of going to see someone in the hospital or prison, volunteering expenses they may have. They don't, if you don't keep track of it, then you can't deduct it. So that's another big mistake, if because those can add up to substantial amount of deduction against your income. And the third one is understanding how you get paid, because you know as a pastor, you are what you considered. You have it's like you're an employee, but also you're a contractor, all in the same. And so, because of that, someone has to have the experience and understanding of that for them to file your taxes. If they don't understand the pastor, how they are being taxed, chances are you are paying too much in taxes. And those are
Oh,
For sure.
great question. So for the pastors who are watching, call TaxBiz USA. They'll help you and walk you through the process. And of course, the number is scrolling on the bottom, 240-493-4822, or you can log on to taxbizusa.com. All right. A lot of listeners give to their church and charities. I do,
Mhm.
Um, I give to my church. I tithe. I'm a 10% tither.
Amen.
I also give to St. Jude, which is one of the, you're welcome, Mike, which is also like I gave the information. You're welcome. Uh, I give to St. Jude, which is one of the other charities that I'm very passionate about. And so a lot of people and listeners give to church and charity. But Beth, how do tithers and tithes and donations impact your tax returns? And what should people know when claiming them?
Okay, great question, because again, there is misconception as far as, you know, I donate to my church and why can I write it off? And unfortunately, the tax code are written specific that in order for you to have an impact of what you donate as a charitable contribution to your church or goods giving to charitable companies, you have to itemize. And as you were well aware of, in 2018, the tax code were changed. And part of those changes was that to increase the standard deduction. So a lot of people fall out of itemizing because the standard deduction were increased like $18,000, and now with inflation, now it's almost at 19.5 for standard deduction. So unless you accumulate 19,500 above that, you will not be able to itemize. So you have, taxpayers who does donate to tithing, but it's like $5,000-6,000, but they don't own a house, so they don't have interest, they don't have property tax, so therefore they might as well get the standard. So they don't qualify, even though they paid their donation, but it's not going to make an impact on their return because the standard is much higher than when you total all their itemizing item together.
Oh,
So yeah, so that's what we got a lot say. Well, how can I pay this? Yeah, but it has to make sense. That's why it's important to have a like a mid-year checkup with us, you know, because sometimes it could mean for $100 more you could have itemized, which help your state. It may not help your federal, but it help your state. If you itemize, you get an increase of refund. But $100 difference is what makes you not be able to itemize because you had 19,400 and the standard is 19,005. So by coming to us and we do an evaluation mid-year, we kind of tell you, hey, this is where you at. If you stay, if you have, X amount more dollars, then you may qualify for atomizing. Therefore, it will impact your refund.
got you. I don't know if I donate that much, but we'll still continue to give you our charitable donations to
Amen.
see
God
what you
will
can do with
increase
them.
you, Cheryl, so you can give that 10%. Trust me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amen.
We don't give to get a refund anyway. Our purpose for giving is a different thing, but we still report it. All right. So, for those who owe back taxes and are struggling with with IRS debt, what are their options and how can TaxBiz help them? You hear the commercials all the time. They've got these programs where they can, claim they can help you and that kind of thing, but not everybody can be helped the way that they say that they can help.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
how what are the options for people who may owe back taxes or struggle with IRS debt?
This is what we do. Our business is tax resolution. Of course, we help a lot of clients throughout the year. And then again, when they come to us, it's like a breath of fresh air because we're not enticing, you're going to get hit by the IRS. Our commercial is very about knowledging, right? Knowing and understanding, your right as a taxpayer. So we always, we're trying to calm them down instead of, making them anxious because, IRS, yes, can be overwhelmed when you receive a letter. But again, the first step, as I told our client, is to open up that letter because there is so many programs that you may qualify for. But until you know why you're receiving this letter, then you're gonna stay anxious. And so the number one thing that we do with our client is sit down with a free consultation for them to understand, okay, this is what happened, this is where you are, this is what the research says, and this is how we can help you. But then you hear all this other commercial where they're talking about offer and compromise. That is the, this, they lead with that, but it's the least, that they will able to do. So, installment agreement, that's one of the things that you can help. There's, what you call the non-collectible. If you cannot pay, IRS is not going to force you to pay.
Right.
If at the end of the day there's nothing left, you at a negative, dollars, you're in the red.
Mm.
So they can put you on a currently non-collectible status. And all that means is that, hey, for right now, it's a 2-year program, but it's always renewed every 2 years. If your situation doesn't change, then it's a renewal program. So every 2 years, they give you a 2-year program where, they're not gonna, harass you. They're not gonna send you any more letters. And while they put you on this program, the clock is ticking. Because remember, you have 10 years for IRS to collect on the debt, or they have to let it go. So
Oh.
so there's a lot of program, so it's not scary as people, as the commercials are saying that it is.
Mhm.
IRS is not gonna levy you for no reason, even if you owe them money. You would have to be like, disregard all of the letters they sent you, and they will go years before they'll say, you know what, this person is not in compliance. They
Right.
don't want to call us, and now we're gonna have to enforce. But normally it takes a long time. And most people, when they first got the letter, don't worry, don't get anxious. Just contact, anyone that does tax resolution. We everywhere in the
Or
United
us.
States,
You know.
us, you know, we service every client nationwide. So no matter where you are, we're able to help you,
Right.
So yeah, Mr. Xavier, anything you want to add?
We also have clients that are international. So if you're international, you could also reach out to us. Obviously we have,
Gotcha.
a wealth of knowledge for international as well as nationwide. So if you're out of the country and you say, man, I'd love to get their help, but they're so far away, don't worry. We can work with you fully digital. We have an online portal and we can work with you via Zoom or Skype, however it is that makes you feel the most comfortable.
Got you. So, Xavier, many people in our community have side businesses or work as independent contractors. What should they be doing differently when it comes to filing their taxes?
Cheryl, that's such a great question. And that's so relevant, especially in communities that have a lot of entrepreneurs or people with side businesses, especially communities that do have a lot of independent contractors working. A few things that they could do differently that would help them in regards to their taxes is separating their business and personal finances.
Mm-hmm.
Open a separate bank account for the business. This makes it much, much, much easier to track the income and expenses, and it protects you in the case of an audit. Second, track every business expense. I cannot iterate this enough. Every business expense, from the mileage to the supplies to the software, your subscriptions, even the portion of your home that you use as an office is a business expense.
Correct.
Everything should be documented. Use either an accounting software or an app or an Excel spreadsheet. Use something. Document everything. More is better than less. And the last thing you can do is make quarterly estimated tax payments.
Yes.
Independent contractors don't have taxes withheld like W 2 employees. They must estimate and pay their taxes quarterly, federal and state, if applicable, to avoid their penalties. And so that's something that they should really do.
And
Mm-hmm.
do they pay that directly to the IRS, or do they just set that money aside for when they file?
So if you know how to do it, you can pay this individually. You can go to irs.gov, and per your state, there's also a way to pay there. But you should just really set it to the side. If you can, you should set up maybe an escrow account with them to try to get that sent off. And I think Miss Beth knows a little bit more about that, and she can
Yeah.
go into details.
Yes. So with the estimated payment, well, I have to go by the law. Quarterly estimated payment is what required of self-employed. So yes, if you get paid every week, every month, yes, as Xavier said, you could set it aside, but it is needs to be deposited on the portal at the irs.gov, and it's quarterly.
Mm.
So yes, for the 3 months you may had a huge quarter, right? Where you made a lot of money. So you estimated for that quarter, a quarter. I mean, normally I say 25 to 30% set aside. So if you made $100,000 that quarter, then you should set aside $25,000. And then that $25,000 get deposited. There's a schedule for estimated payment. It starts April 15, it goes to June 15, it goes to September 15, and then it goes to I think it's December 15th. So no, I'm sorry, January 15th of the following year. So those are your estimated payment. So, but if you don't make them, they're considered late, just
Right.
like payroll. So if they are late, then you are paying fee on top of that when you file your taxes for late estimated payment.
Right.
So yeah.
And
Got you.
just to throw on another thing too is also remember for your self-employment tax, you're responsible for both your employer and employee portions of your Social Security and Medicare,
Correct.
totaling to about 15.3%. And this is a surprise for many people because they're used to having their employer pay that for them. And then the second part gets taken out. Now they have to pay it themselves. You have to remember now you're responsible for the employer portion as well.
Yeah. And that 15.3% is on top of your tax bracket income tax. So
Right.
it's in addition to. So if you were on a tax bracket of 20% plus that 15.3, you at 35.3%.
Hmm.
So that's over 1/3 of your income.
Right.
Just FYI.
So set
Got you.
aside that 30%,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Understood. All right. If you're watching via Facebook or YouTube, you can ask questions at this time. We're coming to a close in just about 4 minutes, and I have a few more to ask Beth and Xavier. But if you have a question in the audience from our YouTube page, our Facebook page, feel free to ask. If you think this information is good, let us know that as well. And of course, if you want more information outside of this live event, you can go to taxbizusa.com or call the number 240-493-4822. All right, Beth, filing is just one part of the process. What steps, really quick, should people take now to prepare for a smoother and more successful tax year next year?
Wow. So again, Xavier just went over the same numbers. Like filing is not a today, a 1 day thing. Filing is a year-round thing. So the moment that you finish filing your 2024 taxes, you should have already started, getting ready for your 2025 in January. And so and that's how you don't miss out on deduction, right? So if you because something that you did in January, you're not going to remember next year in April, how much did I pay for that? Where did I go again? So it's important that as a small business, this is the things you got to do. Again, get an accounting, set up an Excel sheet, whatever you got to do to keep track of your expenses and income. Because again, sometimes employers does not send you a W-2 because not only, their system is crazy. They don't have a person to do the W-2. So they're not sending it out to you, but that doesn't mean you don't claim it on your taxes. It is your responsibility to claim all income earned that year, whether you receive an income statement or not. So that's why it's important to keep track of your vendors or your account receivables to know, okay, this person paid me, even though I never got a 1099 from them, I did receive X amount of dollars from them. Because not a lot of small business process 1099 for their contractors.
Right.
And so you have to base it on what you receive. So that's one thing. The other thing is just making sure that you are talking to someone, because at the end of the day, that person can help you organize, and so that you have a better understanding of what your tax liability going to be for next year. Because again, we get that a lot. Surprisingly, well, I made $100,000, but you didn't put nothing away for the taxes, and then you want us to find $100,000 in expenses. Not gonna happen. So keep track of mileage. That's the biggest thing as well. No one keeps track of mileage, but they want to claim mileage.
Right.
The law says you got to keep track of it. You got to know where the point A to point B, how often you go, how many mileage is that. And again, those are all record that the IRS required if they audit you. So prepare, and it doesn't start when tax season start. It started that year and continue throughout the year.
Got you. I feel seen. I just need y'all to know. I feel seen.
Yeah.
Anyway, finally, we're gonna wrap things up. Xavier, you have no compassion for your auntie, but that's fine. All right. We have,
Oh,
I pray that you have learned a lot from this session. As before we wrap up, for anyone feeling stressed out about their taxes, how can TaxBiz USA step in and make the process easier?
look, we specialize in taking the pressure off. Okay, so we tell client when they come in here, give us your load, and then so you can sleep good tonight. Okay, so give us your burden. So we take on your burden, and then we got it. And when we say we got it because this is our belief. We're very transparent. We God fearing, you know, we honestly trustworthy. So when we say we got it, our word mean a lot.
Right.
Yeah,
When we say we got it, we got it. So, and this what makes us different. This is what it is. Because again, this is just not a business show. And this
right,
is a ministry. So we teach our client. Because see, what we want to do is when you come to Tax Biz, we want to make sure that whatever situation you were in, this will be the last time. Because we're gonna fix it for good. It is not, and again, it's not a one size fit all. We customize it to your personal journey, to your financial journey, to whatever's going on in your life. And so we're here to help. We are on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on
Instagram,
Instagram.
TikTok,
we
yeah.
are we
LinkedIn,
are on the
follow
web.
us.
So
Social
local
savvy.
or nationwide, you can get in touch with us, and we work with anyone everywhere globally.
Right. That's the big part globally.
Yes.
I love it. Listen, they are my friends. They are my personal tax company, my personal CPAs, my personal get your stuff together, Cheryl. And I really appreciate that. I need that in my life. If you're as busy as I am, especially in entertainment, I really wanted to introduce this, and I probably would share it with all of my industry friends. When you're as busy as we are, sometimes it's really hard to track, but we are the ones that really need to hold on to this. Those that are in faith-based businesses, those that are in churches, those that are pastors, those that are in business,
Man.
these are the people you need to go to and trust them, because they are God-fearing. They're not just trying to get your money and trying to make your ears sound good, but they really want to make sure that your business is in order. And when I say tax, I mean, Beth knows these tax laws like the back of her hand
Forward and
as
back.
they change. Like, she lives and breathes these tax laws, stuff that that some of the software don't pick up on. She knows it, like,
Right.
and is enforcing it. So if you're out here trying to do it yourself, you're going to miss out, right, on trying to get all the deductions that you could get and filing correctly, so that even when you're audited, my testimony is I'm being audited, and
Yeah.
TaxBiz is walking me through the process. Like, I'm sleeping at night because, I'm doing what they asked me to do, and they're able to follow up and fight for me. So I really, really appreciate that about the business. And so call the number, 877 I'm thinking morning show, 240-493-4822, 240-493-4822, or log on to taxbizusa.com. Listen, it's tax season. Make sure you get your taxes done correctly. We're going to wrap up right there. Thank y'all so much. Thank you
For
for all
having
the
us. Thank you for having
information.
us.
We
Wonderful.
appreciate it. And don't forget to share this with all of your friends. All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Good
Thanks
night.
for
Right.
watching.
Bye.
Bye.